Hey, welcome back to Leaving CrazyTown with Finn and Sarah, part two, feeling. Now we're going to talk about how Sarah felt this week.
Hey, everybody. So, when I've been thinking about vulnerability and connection and how it's helpful with fear, I know I've talked a lot about moving, but I did finally move on Saturday. And my son, who's 21, was here for the weekend with his girlfriend, and they were helping me move. And what came up for me and has come up a lot lately is these feelings of loss around my son's name is Bo, around just losing him, which partly is totally normal. He's 21 and he's got his first girlfriend. But so there is partly just experiencing the feelings of loss, but I think there's also a fear of losing that connection. And it's changing. It's definitely a new type of connection, but I'm leaving a house where I brought him up and I'm moving to this new place, and there's a room for him, but he's not necessarily going to be staying in there all the time. But I just noticed when we moved and they helped me on Saturday, I was really negative, and I am not a negative person. But why I'm bringing this up is if you guys go to negativity, what I discovered is negativity is a response to fear. So I had a lot of fear around moving and being in a new place and feeling safe and feeling okay. And I was crabby. I was crabby on Saturday. And my son, I literally realized I was criticizing in my head literally everything he did. Like we'd leave the new place and he'd go right and instead of going left, and I thought that was wrong. Like I literally was in my head criticizing him. And
So,
go ahead.
Sarah, would you say that criticizing him and that negativity around his actions was really you trying to control the
Absolutely.
situation?
Yes, I was definitely feeling out of control because and again, there's no right and wrong. He was returning to the old house in a different way. So it was insanity in my head, but definitely I was feeling out of control because of the move and nothing was organized. And what I noticed, and this is really important for you guys, because our control issues, we're going to talk about another week, is a huge symptom of codependency. I feel afraid and I want to control my environment, which is usually about trying to control another human being. So brilliant. I'm glad you brought that up. Yes, it was definitely about trying to control him. And how I can connect it to codependency is how I handled it differently was I kept my mouth shut. There was like 10 times literally all day where I wanted to comment or say something. But what I've learned in this codependency recovery is if I can just keep it to myself, and obviously, if there's something I need to talk to him about, I will. But this was all about my own fear. And when I can just focus on myself, again, codependency recovery, focusing on myself, not others, it helps the relationship. If I had been criticizing him or trying to control him, all that would do would be negatively affect the relationship with him and his new girlfriend, who I really like.
Yeah, I know when
So
people complain to me about my behavior or they have comments, I don't want to spend time with them.
exactly.
So it, like you were saying with the things I was talking about, that behavior would have created the opposite effect of what you were actually looking for.
It's so good because I remember hearing a guy at a meeting one time talking about the fear of abandonment, which is what you were talking about. And he said, the problem is when you have the fear of abandonment, or mine, fear of no control, your behaviors become really controlling. And then what happens? People abandon you. So you pointed out this great thing, which is when we act out with our codependent behaviors, it actually does the opposite of what we want. What we want is connection. And how we connect is by being vulnerable, which creates intimacy. And none of my old tools will help that relationship. But being spacious and loving with them all day, created some really great experiences with him.
And
So
I know with my example, and probably the same for yours, and my example in the last video, if I had been reaching out to try to calm
exactly.
myself down, or if you were expressing your stuff with Bo,
Yes,
that is really our selfish need to fix how uncomfortable we're feeling
yes,
instead of just tolerating how we're feeling. And I have a question for you as a therapist. Does that get do the feeling if you go through these scenarios and you tolerate the feelings, does it get better? Or the next
absolutely.
experience I have, am I still going to feel just as panicked? And I'm hoping it gets better.
I believe it gets easier and easier. Yeah. I mean, 10 years ago, I might have been calling him criticized. I don't know. But definitely the experience, and I say this in the book, you know, so much of being human is just tolerating uncomfortable feelings. And the more we do it, the more we get used to it, and the more we don't feel like we're going to die by doing it. So this week, again, we're continuing to talk about identifying feelings, experiencing feelings, and expressing them. So we will see you Wednesday.
Thanks, everybody. We're out of here.
Okay, we're out of here.